Hello again, Tina Forsyth here for our third video in the top 10 questions video series in regards to finding, hiring, and working with a virtual team. And question number 3 today is, how do I know what to delegate, what to give to my team, versus what do I keep for myself? This is a fascinating question to me, and it's actually one I've been exploring a lot myself over the past few months. I have worked as, and did work as an online business manager for other clients for years and years, right? And especially over the past couple of years, I started to transition my business into really focusing on training and mentoring and supporting other people to become online business managers and matching them with clients and all of that fun stuff. And in particular, I guess it was just in the fall, about 6, 7, 8 months ago, where I officially made the transition, if you will. I was no longer being the OBM for clients. I cut the work I was doing with my last couple of clients there, and transitioned those relationships to someone else, and officially stepped into my business where I am the business owner, and I am hiring people to do things, to work with me, hiring my own virtual team. And along the way, because as you guys will remember if you've read the manifesto, and if you haven't, the Stop Settling Manifesto is something you want to grab a copy of. The part of what I talked about there is there's really, when people struggle with their team, there's really 2 extremes that they usually will fall into one side or the other. And that is they're either being an ostrich, what I call an ostrich. That's someone who will essentially hire their team and kind of put their head in the sand and hope that the team will figure everything out and build their business and it's all going to be good. They kind of are trying to ignore and or even just abdicate their success, quite honestly, is what happens in those scenarios a lot. And of course, there's ways to fix that and work around that. Or the second extreme, if you will, is being the control freak. And that's the person who will hire their team and they'll either A, not give them anything to do, or B, kind of hang over their shoulder at every step of the way. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do it this way? You didn't do it this way. You got to do it that way. And I know this second scenario intimately because, I definitely am much more on the control freak side of the spectrum. And I'm pretty aware of that too, right? So we've been working through it along this way with my own team. But one of the big questions that came up for me in this journey, and over the past 8 or so months is, okay, what do I actually keep for myself as a business owner versus what do I, let go of and give to my team? And there's some really obvious things here, I think, that I want to mention up front, that I think are great things to be able to delegate. First and foremost, I remember I've been talking to business owners about this stuff for years and years now, right? And I remember, I've heard this question many times, but years ago, I remember one person had emailed me, I think it was somebody who was just getting started as a coach, and they emailed me and they were like, how do I learn the shopping cart system? How do I learn the shopping cart? I need to get this set up for my website. And I'm like, you don't. You really don't. As a business owner, there's some things that you want to do and that you want to focus your time and energy on. And there's some things that are just, it's a really cut and dry, clean cut thing. Some things you want to do, some things you don't want to do. The things that you don't want to do as a business owner, the things that you need to delegate for sure, are things like, the technical administrative side of things, getting websites and web pages set up and, all the things that go on in the shopping cart and sending out broadcasts and, booking travel, like scheduling stuff. There's some really cut and dry administrative things that quite honestly are not worth your time or energy to do or learn. When somebody says to me, I want to learn WordPress to manage my blog, it's kind of like, okay, it's one thing to know how to hop into your blog and post something and stuff like that, right? As a business owner, you may or may not want to do that. But it's another thing to be like, oh, how can I set up my WordPress blog and customize the theme and add this plugin and that plugin, et cetera, and all these things. There's a couple of things you need to be aware of when you are the business owner. And that first and foremost is you, as the business owner, need to be focused on growth building activities in your business. Now, anything that people do in a business is going to contribute to the bottom line. Somebody who's setting up your blog or whatever that is, ultimately those kind of things will contribute to your bottom line because they lead to money coming into your business and or less money going out of your business, depending on the scenario. So it's really important to know that everything contributes to the bottom line, but there's only certain things that really truly move the growth of your business forward. And as a business owner, that's where you need to spend your time and energy. You need to be able to do things like focus on content creation, content delivery. If you are a coach, for example, you offer coaching as part of your services, you're probably going to be the one doing the coaching. And I would much rather see you doing the coaching than working on your shopping cart system. You know, if you would maybe doing speaking or, you know, live teleclass, etc., you may be doing a lot of writing for things like e-zines and blog posts and otherwise, delivery of services, high-end, you know, relationships, joint venture cultivation and things like that. Those are key areas that as the business owner, in most cases, you're probably going to continue to do for quite a long time. And likewise, those are the things that most of us really love doing anyways. It's usually the reason why we got into the business that we're doing anyhow. We don't want to pass those things along to someone else, right? We might pass elements of it along down the road as things grow. You know, there might be associate coaches that come in to help with certain programs and things like that. But essentially, as a business owner, those are the things you need to be able to focus your time and energy on. Where I find a little bit of the gray area comes into play is in the marketing sales side of things. Because ideally, when it comes right down to it, right, I think a lot of people, and I remember this even back from my regular corporate recruiting days. You know, I used to do corporate recruiting in Calgary. And people would call, you know, quite often we get calls from business owners saying, oh, I want to hire a salesperson who's going to work strictly on commission and come in and get a bunch of sales for my business. And the fact of the matter is, they couldn't find these people. You know, because when it comes right down to it, the best people to build your business, the best people to actually help you with your marketing and sales and bring, you know, money in the door, essentially, it's going to be you. And especially in the earlier stages of your business, this is really, really true. I had this conversation with my own coach a while ago, and I had asked that question. It's like, because people talk about that, like, oh, I want to delegate my marketing or delegate my sales or whatever. And some people do, right? They really do. And I had asked that question. It's like, well, how do I know when I do that or why I would do that? You know, and the way that it was explained to me, which totally makes sense, which totally makes sense to me, is that, you know, you actually don't want to delegate your sales and marketing until you know what works to grow your business. Because the fact of the matter is, especially in the earlier stages of your business, where there's still a lot of things that are quite experimental and you're learning and growing and figuring out what works and what doesn't and so on, you as the business owner really need to own that. You know, and of course there's tons of programs and trainings and mentorships and coaches and folks who can help with that, right? We all know it's important. I mean, like they say, if you're in business, you're basically in the business of marketing. So it's a key thing. But it does, part of the question I do get from people is like, can I delegate that? Can I give it to someone else? And the answer to that is, you know, until you have a really clear-cut system, a clear path, if you will, to how your marketing works, and how it, you know, your marketing connects with people and enrolls them into whatever you have to offer and brings money in the door, you don't want to delegate that. It's probably going to be something you own to do yourself. And, you know, that's not to say you're going to do every single teeny little thing, right? I mean, I know there's other people who go on both sides of the coin with this, but, you know, there could be elements of social media stuff that you delegate sooner rather than later and things like that. But, you know, especially the key ways that you make money, the key ways that you connect with people and bring money in the door, until you have a really strong system in place for that, that's not going to be something you delegate. That's going to be something you do yourself. And whether you like it or not, in a sense, because I know a lot of business owners, a lot of people, because they either don't know how or they're afraid of it or they don't want to do it for whatever reason, they try to delegate that and it will fail miserably. You know, that's the one area that people struggle with the most in finding help. And again, it's not so much because they quote unquote can't find the right people to do it, right? You know, finding marketing people is tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it that way, but the fact of the matter is, if you have a really strong kind of foundation or really clear proven path to the money in your business, then finding marketing support is very doable. It's very much an option. But until then, that's not something you want to delegate. And, you know, just one other thing too, when it comes to knowing how to delegate, I mean, really, outside of the marketing piece and outside of some of the, you know, the important things like creating content and delivering services and such, you know, you can also, as a business owner, another thing you can look at is, you know, what are the things you love doing versus the things you don't like doing? I mean, that can be also another really good way to look at, you know, what do I want to delegate to my team? People talk about, I've heard this over the years, this idea of creating your yuck bucket. You know, as you go through your day, make a note of the things that you're doing and what do you like doing and not doing. Alongside that, though, the one caveat I want to give to you guys is, and I remember years ago, this was a lady who was in one of our coaching programs at that time. You want to be aware of the things that you like doing, but may actually not help you grow your business. You know, I remember this woman had shared that she recently hired a bookkeeper. And it wasn't because she didn't like bookkeeping. You know, most business owners don't like it, don't know it, don't want to go there. In this case, she actually loved bookkeeping, had been a bookkeeper before, you know, loved doing it. And she found that she would be doing bookkeeping stuff when, you know, as a way to kind of distract her from doing the things she really needed to do in her business to grow her business, you know, picking up the phone and making a sales call or something like that. So for that reason, that's why she hired a bookkeeper and delegated that one and got it off her plate. So that's one thing to think of too. I mean, obviously there's things we love doing, things we don't like doing that we want to delegate, but if there's things we love doing that really aren't going to help grow the business, it might be time to let those go. If there's things that we hate doing that would help us grow the business, it might be time to take those back and claim them and just, you know, get the support and guidance we need to make that happen for ourselves as well too. So this end of video number 3, video number 4 is how do I know if someone can actually do what they say? That's going to be our next video because I get that question a lot from people too. So really juicy topic. We will see you guys then. Take care.